I want to show you a small project that I made called Rename Screenshot. Whenever you capture a new screenshot, it will look at the content of the image, renames it, and then move it to a designated folder. If you are like me, I make a bunch of Mac screenshots as I work. Like here, I captured code snippet. Sometimes I will capture some images that I like to use as a reference, and maybe something more practical like what's the checked baggage policy at an airline, or some other images, photos, sometimes just text paragraph. I have a bunch of screenshots like this on my desktop at any given day, and the default Mac screenshot naming convention is not that helpful. You always start with screenshot, doesn't really mean anything. And then it's got date and time string, which is like hidden here, cut off. It's hard to see, so I have to check each one of them just to see what's in it. So the rename screenshot, the app I made, which runs on CLI in the terminal, will automate that task for you. So let me run the command, rename screenshot. I'll show you how to install and set it up a little later, but I just want to show you a quick demo here. Then I will say retroactive. I will add that option just so it will process already existing images on my desktop. And then I can choose an API provider. You can either use local Olama, so you can do everything locally without sending any data to a third party, or you can choose to use OpenAI, ChatGPT. So when I run the command, it will start looking at my screenshots on my desktop and process them one at a time. So you see the files are being disappeared. And if you look at the log, the first one, the Southwest Airline baggage policy, has been moved to the web directory, and ChatGPT did a good job of renaming it to Southwest baggage policy. And that peacock image, it detected there's a peacock and put it on the reference folder. And the code screenshot was moved to code folder, and Golden Gate Bridge was moved to reference. There was a text paragraph which was moved to text folder. So here's a screenshots folder on my desktop, and inside there are a few subdirectories for each category. So code is that code capture I showed you earlier, and there's a originals and reference for Golden Gate Bridge and a peacock, and the text paragraph I had before, the web screenshot of Southwest baggage policy. You can download and install from my GitHub repo, rename-screenshot. I will leave a link in the description. The credit should go where it's due. So this is not really my original idea. I took the original idea from Charlie Holt's name drop project. So I saw this video, which was posted late last year. It's not really a new project, but I've recently discovered it. And then that showed using open model to look at the content and rename the images, which I thought was really very useful. It was a problem that I didn't know I had. So I decided to make my own version from scratch. And here's how you can install it. You'll have to first clone the repo and then cd into that repo directory you downloaded. Install the dependency with npm because I made it with Node.js, JavaScript, and then install as a global package so that you can call this command rename screenshot from anywhere on your machine. And by default, it will be watching the desktop directory, monitoring any new screenshots coming in. So there are a few different options you can pass into. The most important options are these three. You can choose provider, either OpenAI. You'll need an OpenAI API key, and then you'll have to pay for the usage. Or if you want to do everything with locally, choose Olama and download multimodal model such as Lava. And that's the default option. Because the privacy is important, right? When you make some screenshots, you may accidentally include some passwords, some financial data, medical data, something you don't want to expose to any other person, any other company. So the Olama is the default choice. And when I tried it on my M2 MacBook Air with only 8 GB of RAM, it still ran fine. Of course, it was bit slow and the quality is not as good as ChatGPT, but was still very usable. And there's another option, retroactive, if you want to process existing screenshots that are already on desktop. And if you pass the watch option, it will continue monitoring in the background and process any new screenshots. So I'll show you a little bit about how you can customize it. After you clone the repo and open it in your code editor, then you will find user.config.json file. So here you can define different categories of the screenshot you generally make. In my case, I make code screenshots, references, text, web, YouTube, and others. So those keys, those become the name of each subdirectory. And the value is a condition. You're telling the model which ones to assign to which category. If the majority of the text is computer code, then categorize it as code. Or if the image is a photograph, categorize it as a reference, and so on and so forth. And there are two providers that are supported in the app. It's OpenAI and Ollama. So in case of OpenAI, you can set up the key in the .m file. You're going to have to make one, set it up there. And Ollama is a local model, so you don't have an API key, but you will need to change the model to the one you are using. So I'm using with Lava. Setting up Ollama will be a separate step. And then if you look inside the source directory, there's only a single source file, index.ts. And you don't really need to change anything here, but you may have to, because I set it up to meet my own needs in terms of datetime formatting conventions and which folder to watch. You see the watch path is set to the desktop, but if your screenshot is saved to some different directories, then you may want to update this line. And the same goes for how to tell which images are screenshots and which are not. And that's handled in this function is max screenshot. So I'm using this regex pattern to determine what images should be treated as a screenshot. I'm almost hard coding it here. Screenshot of 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 1 or 2-digit hour, 2-digit minutes, and 2-digit second, and then AM or PM. So if your language is not English or it's set up differently on your computer, then you will want to update this line as well. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you think in the comments. See you next time.